Chapter 2. Wait, you. Ash blinked again, trying to make sense of the world as it tilted and swayed around him. His gaze fell on Serena. No, on himself, standing a few feet away, a look of utter disbelief plastered across her face, or rather, his face. "This is so weird," Ash said, the words coming out in a voice that was much higher and softer than his own. It hit him like a ton of bricks. That wasn't his voice. His eyes dropped to his hands, which were smaller, more delicate, with perfectly manicured nails. His gaze continued downward, taking in the dress. A dress that hung too lightly on his frame. He fumbled, yanking at the hem, suddenly very aware of the very lacy undergarments beneath the clothes, feeling like they covered nothing. This isn't happening," Ash muttered, his new soft feminine voice trembling with disbelief. He tugged awkwardly at the thin straps of Serena's short dress, feeling the unfamiliar sensation of long hair brushing against his neck and shoulders. His fingers grazed something else, something soft yet firm, and his face flushed bright red. "Serena, I've got, Ash stammered, his hands hovering awkwardly in front of his chest, not quite knowing what to do with them. Serena, inside Ash's body, stared back at him, her expression a mixture of horror and incredulity. "Ash, don't touch me. Don't touch you." She was flustered, trying to make sense of the situation, but the words came out in a jumbled mess. Ash's face turned even redder, and he quickly dropped his hands, his heart thudding in his chest. He took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "This is not the time to freak out," he told himself. "We need to figure this out." Meanwhile, Serena was dealing with her own issues. She was still trying to process the fact that she was, somehow, inside Ash's body. She felt heavier, taller, and her limbs seemed to move with a strength she wasn't used to. Her hands, calloused and rough from years of training and battling, felt foreign to her. When she glanced down, she was met with the sight of Ash's familiar red and white cap resting on her head. "This is impossible," Serena muttered, running a hand through Ash's spiky black hair. The sudden burst of strength in her movements startled her. She wasn't used to the way Ash's body felt, so powerful, so fast. Even standing still, she could feel the energy coursing through her muscles, as if they were always ready for a battle. She took a hesitant step forward, but immediately stumbled, her balance thrown off by Ash's longer legs and heavier frame. "Wah!" she yelped, barely catching herself before falling face first onto the ground. "How do you even move like this, Ash?" Ash, still in Serena's body, was having his own issues with balance. He awkwardly shifted his weight from one foot to the other, unused to the way Serena's body felt lighter, more delicate. Every movement felt exaggerated, and he couldn't shake the sensation of the fabric of the dress brushing against his legs. But what really unnerved him was the feeling of his hair, Serena's hair, cascading down his back. "I don't know, Serena, but this is really weird," Ash said, his voice still tinged with disbelief. He reached up and grabbed a fistful of long blonde hair, pulling it forward to examine it. "I've got long hair. What do you do with all this hair?" Serena huffed, crossing her arms, Ash's arms, over her chest in frustration. "It's not the hair that's the problem, Ash. What are we going to do? We can't stay like this." She glanced over at Pikachu and Brakeson, who were both equally confused, their heads tilted as they watched their trainers bumble around in each other's bodies. Pika! Pikachu squeaked, his ears twitching. "Bray," Brakeson added, her stick glowing faintly, as if trying to sense what was wrong. Ash sighed, rubbing Serena's, temples. Okay, let's not panic. We need to figure out what caused this and how to fix it." Serena nodded, though the sensation of nodding with Ash's head felt strange. Right, the stone. It must have something to do with that. Ash glanced back at the spot where the glowing stone had been just moments ago. It was gone now, leaving no trace of its existence. Well, that's just great, he muttered. Now what? Serena bit her lip, Ash's lip, and looked up at the sky where the sun was beginning to set. We should find help, she said, her voice steady, though her new body's strength made her sound more assertive than she intended. Maybe Professor Sycamore will know something. He's always studying these weird Kalos phenomena. Ash nodded, though his mind was still struggling to keep up with everything. He could feel the unfamiliar weight of Serena's long hair swaying as he moved, the dress shifting with each step, and the strange sensation of, well, everything that came with being in Serena's body. He tried not to focus on it too much, but it was hard to ignore. Right. But until then, Ash hesitated, glancing down at the dress again. We're going to have to act like each other, aren't we? Serena's eyes widened. You mean we have to pretend to be each other? Her voice, Ash's voice, rose in pitch, clearly not a fan of the idea. Ash shrugged. What choice do we have? If people realize something freaky is going on, it'll only make things more complicated. We need to keep this under wraps until we figure out how to switch back. Serena groaned, rubbing Ash's forehead in exasperation. This is going to be a disaster. Ash couldn't help but grin, despite the situation. Come on, how hard can it be? I just have to act like you, calm, graceful, all that stuff. And you just have to, be like me, confident, energetic, and ready for anything. Serena shot him a glare that didn't quite fit Ash's usual expression. Ash, I don't think you realize how hard it is to be calm and graceful. Ash crossed his arms, Serena's arms, over his chest, mimicking her earlier stance. How hard can it be? You just smile a lot and say nice things. Easy. Serena rolled her eyes. And what about me pretending to be you? What am I supposed to do? Run around yelling, I'm gonna be a Pokemon master? Every 5 minutes? Ash's grin widened. Yeah, that sounds about right. Serena let out a heavy sigh, but deep down, she knew Ash was right. They didn't have option. If they were going to get through this without raising suspicion, they'd have to act like each other. As ridiculous as the situation was, they had to make it work. Fine, Serena said, her voice firm. But don't mess this up, Ash. If you embarrass me while you're in my body, I swear. Relax. Ash said, though the idea of having to walk around in a dress still made him feel uncomfortable. I'll do my best to be the perfect Serena. Serena raised an eyebrow. That's what I'm worried about.